Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Urbana Arts and Culture Commission meeting on Tuesday, October 10th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. in City Hall. First agenda item on the agenda is a call to order and the roll call, please.
Barbara Headland,
Present.
Alicia Rodriguez,
Present.
Lori Fuller,
Present.
Mark Anthony Macon,
Present.
In light of the fact that we don't have a quorum today, shall we table the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting?
yes.
Y'all agree on that?
Seconded.
Yes, I agree. Approved. Thank you all. Do we have any additions to the agenda today?
No additions to the agenda.
All right, moving right along. Good. Do we have any public input for the meeting this week?
No public input.
Thank you. Good. Now the fun begins. We're at presentations, and we get to welcome Patrick Singer from Pygmalion. Welcome back, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a screen in front of us, so we see what you're seeing right now. Nice shots. What a beautiful night that must have been. Yes. Look at the clouds. No clouds in the sky. Perfect sky.
Push. The light's on now. It's a shame that everyone missed that.
You're welcome to repeat it.
Just wanted to say thank you once again for supporting Pygmalion. I feel like this is our 4th or 5th year in a row that we've been supported by the Arts and Culture Commission. So we think it's a great honor that we get to work with you all and present our work in downtown Urbana and celebrate our 19th year this year. And so it just happened a couple weeks ago, so things are still fresh. So I'm happy to kind of run through this and then answer any questions that you all might have for me. And so yes, it was a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend. A few weekends ago, I wanted to put some pictures in here from areas of town where we were hosting some of our programming. And so, this being our 19th year, and I believe all of you are familiar with Pygmalion. We present musicians, authors, comedians, drag queens, craft vendors, makers, a variety of other things inside of our program. And it's much more of a culture festival than it is a music festival, predominantly because just the nature of the event and how it shifted over the course of its 19-year history. And we think that's pretty fun. We feel like Pygmalion is well-suited to be able to position itself to be a long-lasting event in Urbana, and we are not slowing down. And so we like to continue to keep it fresh. Every year, once we apply for the grant, we take a look based on the amount of grant funding we're given, and I take a look at our programming and really take an assessment of what our needs are and what I feel like would reflect the values of the Arts and Culture Commission. I can't cover all these things, but when it comes to diversity of programming, representation, just locations for presentation, I take these things into consideration. So this year I was able to take the budget that we were given and spread it across 3 events inside of Pygmalion at large. And I feel as though the three musicians and three performers we represented with the funding was pretty fantastic. One of the first ones I'll talk about is this musician named Theon Cross. He's a tuba player, which was very interesting. I've never presented a tuba player, tubist. Not really sure the correct way to say that, but yes, he's a tubist and a composer, and he's known for his work in Sons of Kemet, but he's a relatively up-and-coming, emerging musician, and we were happy to be able to present him on one of our final slots of the weekend on Saturday night inside Rose Bowl. Really a fantastic performer, a duo. He performed as a duo, and so his work has been critically acclaimed as part of that outfit from the UK, but part of what I've said Pygmalion has become is much more of a festival of discovery. And so I feel as though presenting experimental artists in this realm has really been a fun and exciting thing to be able to do, because I think one of the goals of what Pygmalion sets out to do is to expose people here to artists that they might not otherwise see come through. And so Theon was a wonderful performer. And so there's a variety of photos that we've posted on our Instagram page. And so if you're interested in seeing some more, but I just have some clips of them. The next one is this musician named Claude. Claude is from Chicago. This is actually the second time we've presented Claude in Champaign-Urbana. We presented their show earlier this year in Champaign, actually. It was a very stripped-down acoustic performance. And this time, after we had done that show, we wanted to present them again. And so we were happy to be able to present them alongside our headliner for the festival, Lauren Mayberry. And so Claude performed with a full band on Saturday evening outside at Rose Bowl. Like I say here, the first artist assigned to Satisfactory Records, which is operated and curated by Phoebe Bridgers, who some of you may know. And then Claude identifies as non-binary and uses they/them pronouns. And so, this is part of our goal to diversify our programming and provide good representation across the board. And the third performer that was supported by the grant was this terrific musician named Sen Morimoto from Chicago, Japanese jazz rap artist. And we were excited to get to expand and do programming at Gallery Art Bar, which recently opened. And so Jonah and his crew were very supportive of our program, and we were happy to be able to have two shows there, one on Friday, one on Saturday, and Sen Morimoto was performing on Saturday night. And so he's known for his work as a musician, record label co-owner. He's an activist and and he's a poet. And so these were really excellent performances that we were able to present based on our funding from the Urbana Arts grant. And so I wanted to include something additionally this year. When we kind of think about how we utilize the grant funds, it might seem like we're kind of focused on what the exact or precise pieces of programming that are supported due to the X's and O's that have to go into processing these grants. But I want it to be known and showcase a little bit more about, because we're able to receive funding from the city and a variety of other sponsors, these are other pieces of free programming that happen in downtown Urbana that we feel is a good further ancillary benefit to the city and to the Arts Commission. And so when the Arts Commission, or through the Arts Grant, you're supporting Pygmalion on the whole, as well as these individual pieces. So I wanted to kind of just showcase all of these things in downtown Urbana that were free. So there was the Made Fest, which supports local craft vendors, artists, and makers. Soundscapes at Gallery Art Bar, which is comprised of local artists, experimental musicians, and visual art. And then several author readings that happen. Some at Urbana Free Library and some at Analog Wine Library. And then another piece of programming called the Human Library, which takes place at Analog as well. And then Astronomy on Tap at 25 o'clock. And so these things are all part of our comprehensive presentation of what Pygmalion is. And so we enjoy having these other things that we can use to round out the program. And we feel as though without support from our sponsors and grants and the commission, not all of these things are possible. And so we feel as though because of the funding, we're able to kind of reallocate other budget funds to be able to support these things too. Just goes a long way for us. And so that's the end of my presentation. So I said thank you for your support. This was a shot from Saturday during the Made Fest, which was really fantastic, especially when the weather is good. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have and go from there.
First?
What was the most challenging part this year?
Let's see. Challenging part. I think sometimes the challenges are just how to accommodate a variety of spaces all in one weekend. I think that sometimes we don't get to use as many venues and support as many pieces of programming as we want to. And so I think sometimes like choosing and being selective is one of the more challenging things, because we want to incorporate as much as we can, but also at the same time, it's not our goal we don't want to cannibalize our audience. And so we feel as though that's a challenge for us, because there's a lot of exciting things that get presented to us, and we have a lot of cool opportunities to do more things. But sometimes budget constraints and staffing and just, kind of our mental energy kind of limits us. And so that's why when we celebrate Pygmalion, although it happens at the end of September, we do present artists throughout the year as well, whether it's shows at Rose Bowl or Gallery or Canopy Club or things like that. I'd say that's a challenge for us, just because it's exciting to present a lot of cool stuff in one weekend, but we have to kind of hone it in sometimes.
I'm really sorry I missed it because I was out of town. So I was like,
It's okay.
timing was terrible. But yeah, to add to that question, I know it's been in Campus Town, it's been in Granite over the years. It's great that it's been down in Urbana. What are you thinking in the future of the locations? If you could just have it in Urbana and in Champaign. I know the staffing is an issue, and so is the funds. What are you thinking for the future for the locations?
I think that, I'm sorry you missed it, first of all.
I'm really sorry.
But, that's okay. And so, next year is our 20th year. And I'm part of a partnership group that is actually working on renovating and reopening the former Iron Post space. And so, that's on our radar. And so I think that where we put like kind of the center of the festival remains to be seen. I think ideally we could move it over there and kind of reshape it a bit to be able to present something for our 20th year that is really like a big celebration. And so, in the last few years, it's been mostly between Canopy Club and Cranert Center and Rose Bowl and, thankfully this year, Gallery and Analog and some of the other venues. And so I think downtown Urbana is going to be our home. We don't have any plans to leave downtown Urbana. We feel as though the culture that we want to kind of exist inside is there. And there's just like an interesting energy that's there. And so, it remains to be seen what our plans are for the future, but I think that, continuing to build off of what we're doing and, continuing to present things inside of downtown Urbana is what we want to do. But, I am hopeful that we'll be able to complete our project and have our new space open. And so that could be a showcase of, hey, this is a new spot in downtown Urbana. It's kind of just another space to be able to use, to be able to kind of like really plant the flag of what Pygmalion is. And so, we have all sorts of ideas what we can do, while at the same time we're, just trying to, keep sustaining what we've done. And sometimes it's easy to think like, oh, well, we could do so much more all in one weekend, but, we're trying to think of like years down the road. And so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but yeah, I'd say that's my best answer, because I feel like our space will be done by then, and then we can kind of reconfigure things. And we would still host shows at Rose Bowl and things like that. It might just look a little bit different.
I have a question.
Mhm.
When you look back over the years and pre-pandemic and now, do you see a change in the events that draw more people? Or are there more interests? People have different interests now because it's a different generation? Or how do you see things in your growth patterns over the years?
I think that, yes, obviously the pandemic changed things significantly. I think that, Pygmalion used to look a lot different when it was in downtown Champaign. We had like these big outdoor stages, and I think just due to the nature of the industry and like presenting artistry in this way, production costs have gone up. Everything is more expensive now. And so I think that that's not just for, festival producers like us, but it's also for consumers. I mean, I think that people are more strapped than they ever were. I think that there's just a lot more programming happening. People have more things to choose from in a lot of ways. And so I think that, in that sense, looking at the future, or just like looking back at what we've done, we've always just tried to adapt and just like honestly survive. And so we feel like we're surviving in a positive way. It's almost like me being a new parent. I'm surviving, but it's good. I think that's what we say. But I think that looking back, it's just kind of, we always just try to like be nimble and scrappy and present what we're able to based inside of us being a pretty small company. And so we just have a lot of community support, which is helpful. And so, yeah, looking back, I think that, we've just been presented a bunch of challenges based on the idea that we're inside of a much larger macro festival industry. And so things just continue to be more expensive. People have less money to spend, or people are, just a little more particular about what they're doing, perhaps. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of like depends every year, and it really depends on who you book. I mean, whether it really it's very program driven or artist driven. So, we did this amazing drag show at Cranard Center, which was awesome. This is the second time we've done a drag show. It's just like it's very concentrated on, hey, who is a fan of this artist and where do they live, and how do they find out about it? And so, I think that we're just trying to be good programmers and feel like we are presenting the best things we can that we feel like will resonate in the community and people will want to come out and, buy tickets to go see these things. And so that's kind of another part of how much we put on the same weekend. I think that sometimes if you put too much, then people aren't able to see everything, or they're not able to spend the amount of money on tickets that they want to, maybe just because it's all concentrated. So it's kind of like finding that balance. It's like, what's your average consumer, spending on? Is it $50 to come see one show? One show, or it's hard to say. And so we're just always trying to like be nimble and adapt.
You get repeated requests for certain artists or certain kind of artists or programming?
Sometimes. I think sometimes people want us to bring artists back. And so sometimes with the way Pygmalion is set up is that we're kind of booking artists that are kind of on their way up. And so when you do that, you might catch them here, but like next year or the year after, they're out of reach, or like they're too popular for us to be able to afford. And so that's something we get quite often. Be like, oh, can you guys bring them back? And, we try to be selective enough to not repeat artists when we can. It's just kind of something that we're just interested in kind of keeping it fresh. And so, yeah, sometimes people will be like, oh, can you get this band? And we're like, yeah, we would love to, but they're like, out of our range.
Or would you like to be a sponsor?
Yeah, exactly. And so, that's just kind of a battle that we have. And so thankfully there's just so many amazing artists out there that usually it's a matter of, us being more selective, and, there's just all the sorts of acts out there that we would love to present, but we just can't because we can't afford it, or it's just timing doesn't work out. It really, really depends. So yeah, we get a lot of things like, hey, can you bring this thing here? And I was like, I would love to do that, but you know, it's not that easy. I think some people think like we're just like cherry picking, or like we're saying like, oh, here's this band Claude. How do we get them to come here? And it's a whole thing where it's like once you kind of pursue something and ask for it, the cost of it is way higher than whether they're saying, hey, we have this date available, it's on your weekend, it's routed in, how do we make that work? And so it's kind of a little give and take.
I have just a comment.
Mhm.
I know I've already expressed to you how sad I was that I missed Pygmalion this year. Looking forward to the 20th. I just think that it's really cool that obviously there's free events,
Mhm.
but something I discovered while I was very sad to miss it was the Spotify playlist that y'all put together.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought that that was really interesting because if you are someone who made it, and you just maybe didn't know who you were seeing, or you just popped in for 5 minutes, you could kind of like go back to that and check it out, or like see what music's gonna show up, you know, before you choose where you're gonna go. But I think that it's great to have chosen the 3 that you used for Theon and Claude. Those options were really cool, so I'm glad you chose them. But yeah, super looking forward to it. And I was going to ask more about the process of booking and like matching people to venues, but you kind of covered a lot of it. But if there's anything else in terms of how you like to fit artists with specific places, I think it'd be interesting to hear.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you like the Spotify playlist. I think that it kind of works both ways, like you said. I think a lot of it is, you know, as a promoter, I kind of go into it thinking, well, if I start a baseline where I'm educating, I'm trying to educate people on what we're presenting. Because a lot of, I mean, I can't tell you how many times we have people that are like, I have no idea who any of these bands are. And so, but then there's sometimes that people like, I'm a hardcore fan of Lauren Mayberry or Claude or whatever. And so it kind of works both ways because I like to be able to say, hey, if you want to familiarize with the artists that we are presenting, you can literally listen to them. Here's, you know, a few songs from each, and it's kind of a part of our newer like discovery method. And say, hey, we know that there's a lot to see here, and we know that it's a lot to take in, and so let us help you out a little bit and say, hey, here's a way to kind of learn, and you might find a band that you've never heard of that you were like, wow, this really blew me away, and then they just so happen to be playing. And so, yeah, I'm really glad that you use that. And I think that, you know, as far as the curation component and figuring out where to put bands at particular times or certain artists, I think it really is just, it's hard to explain. It's just kind of like a feeling, and like, I guess that's just like from doing it for a while, you kind of can learn what type of musician would make sense in what environment. And I think that that's really important. That's almost more important to me than like, it's just really important to how the presentation happens. I mean, I think that there's an energy that you can create, for instance, where it's like, okay, well, if I was doing a show that, it just kind of depends on what it is. You're like, I don't want like a bunch of people sitting in front of the stage. I want, you know, people to be up and dancing or whatever. So you kind of like, as a promoter, you can kind of make those changes and adjustments alongside what you're presenting, or like, you know, I just feel like creating an environment where people can kind of sense that it's a bit more curated, it does go a long way. People kind of say, oh, this is different than what I maybe am used to. And that's really exciting for me because I personally, like when we book all these bands, I personally like them. I mean, like, I enjoy their music. And so it's kind of a hard line to toe because you don't want to just book everything that you like. But I think it's trying to be smart about what it is you're doing and like where you're putting it and what time you put it at. There's just all these like factors, and sometimes it's a situation where you have a slot. So like, for instance, like with the on cross, we kind of confirmed his appearance, but we were unsure kind of where to put him for a minute. And then we were kind of like, the pieces start to kind of settle. You're just kind of putting a puzzle together. And then you say, oh, wait, this is the best place to put this because of this reason. And, I guess that's just part of our role as the curators of the event. And so I'd be happy to talk more about it if you're interested, because I could probably blabber on about it way too long. And so, I think that's just kind of like a special part of doing Pygmalion, is that we get to really focus on which types of acts work in what spaces and why. And I think... Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing, like I was talking about with Mark Anthony here, it's, we don't even get to do all the stuff we want to do. And, we would love to, I mean, in years past, we've done shows at the IMC, we've done, shows at, Red Herring or Channing Murray. Not to mention, I mean, we're not even talking about Champaign right now. And so, the majority of the spaces that we have available to us are in Urbana, and that's great. And so, we want to utilize these spaces and showcase them. I mean, that's part of really our goal, is to put interesting artists in spaces that are here. And yeah, we have an outdoor stage, and it's kind of like different than, say, inside of Rose Bowl Tavern, for instance. But I think that, you're creating an environment, and how you do that is really based on the variety of your program. It's based on your budget. It's based on, sometimes doing squirrely things like putting a comedian right in between like a few bands, which we did this year. Like inside Rose Bowl, we just had, a couple local artists that performed, and then like at 7:30, this amazing comedian named Isaiah Kelly performed. And so it kind of like puts a interesting little like, jog in there where you're like doing something different, but it's part of a festival, so kind of anything goes. And so, we like to keep it interesting. We like to, there's all sorts of stuff that we like to do. And so that's why Pygmalion has come to a different place. It's not just bands. We know we want to do more comedy. We want to do more drag shows. We want to do more podcasts or authors. And so we just kind of have to like pick and choose what we want to do. But, we're always like trying to kind of explore and push what we think Pygmalion can be. And so, there's a lot of it is kind of just like feel. You got to like feel like, oh, well, this band sounds like this, so this might be the best environment for them based on whatever it is. And so, yeah, it's just kind of like putting together a really weird puzzle.
I think it teaches you a lot of instincts, too. Heightens your instincts, and you just sort of intuitively know after a while what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, and honestly, you learn from making mistakes. And so I'll be the first to say that. It's like, it's not like we get it right every time. I mean, we've done shows in certain places or bands and that sound a certain way in a certain environment, and we're like, well, that wasn't the thing that we really thought it was going to be, but, we did it, and we tried it, and we just kind of have to roll with that. And so, yeah, don't get me wrong. We we don't get it right every time, and we try our best to kind of make the puzzle pieces fit the best we can, but we know that it's not always perfect. But, we're trying to present things the best way we can, given the spaces that we do have. And so I think that when it comes down to it, we're just, always trying to figure out what makes most sense and learning from what we did right and what we did wrong. Reflect, I guess.
Walk away feeling like they've really experienced something and it's memorable.
Mm-hmm. Hope so. I talked too long, the screen went off. It might be because of...
Ours are still on. That's weird. Thank
Yeah,
you
thanks so much. And if anyone has any questions after this, you have my email address, I think. But yeah, thanks again.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'll bow to the audience here.
So now we're ready for a staff report. Welcome back, Vivian. Are you going to share with us some of your adventures on your workshop or your presentation out of town?
Yes.
Great.
I won't show anything, but yeah, I was gone for about 2 weeks, artist residency in Wyoming. Worked on a lot of things, but beautiful. It's great for artists to have opportunities to head out, enjoy some peace and quiet for a while, and so I was very lucky to be able to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Just click the X right there. There you go.
Right. So, how are all of you doing today? Good. All right. So I want to start off with some updates on 40 North, just because this Saturday we had the very exciting Urbana Fall Fusion Festival. I don't know if any of you all were able to make it to that, but it was in downtown Urbana, and it was just an incredible experience to be able to see Urbana have so many things going on. There was live music, pumpkin carving, there was a fire dancer, gallery of gourds, so things that we kind of talked about last month, but seeing it all in downtown at the intersection of Main and Race was very cool. And a lot of people attended. Hopefully we can get some numbers from 40 North perhaps in the future, but lots of art demos were happening in some of the shops, and restaurants had deals, so it really felt like a downtown experience. It wasn't just a lot of bringing in things from outside. It was a really good medley. Last week, we also had our October Craft Happy Hour at the Urbana Free Library, where folks were able to swing by for an hour and make their own tarot cards and also get their cards read by a couple of local card readers. And the attendance was not quite double last month's, but it was great to kind of fill that east wing of the library with people making crafts. Young Artist Studio happened. This is now a quarterly program, so for those who aren't familiar with it, it's at the library, and it's open to the public and for kids and families to come in and learn a little bit about a different art medium. So Kinsey Fitzgerald taught a workshop on Matisse paper cutting techniques, so I'll hopefully get more photos on that, but sounds like it went really well, and we'll be looking forward to a winter one. So that was the fall one, and we'll be doing that seasonally. Coming up at the end of this month is a brand new mural. So this has kind of been in the works just as we are trying to figure out locations and things. But basically, this is at the Boneyard Creek, and in the image you see there, that is the underpass of Race Street in the Boneyard Creek. And so E. Ainsley is the artist, and basically they have been tasked with the wall that is the south wall of that underpass. So we'll be having an opening reception and artist talk, and they'll be able to answer questions about their process and their work and what it's like to do a mural that size. So that's going to be October 27th from, it's actually 3 to 4, not 3 to 5. So now we're getting into some upcoming events that I want to highlight because a lot of these are Urbana Arts grants. So this is one of them. Andrew Binder's Conspiracy Deliracy is actually happening tomorrow night, and it features original compositions cross between jazz, pop music icons, their music, and conspiracy theories regarding all of the above. So it sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting, and it's at Rose Bowl, and I believe Andrew was a Tier 1 grants winner. Coming up is also the CU Folk and Roots Festival. That's happening this weekend, and there's so much to see on the schedule. So if you go to folkandroots.org, you can see the full schedule for each day. And I believe on Saturday it's split up with daytime and evening, so things start kind of on the earlier side. October Dance is also this week at Cranert Center for the Performing Arts, and that is a showcase that will be featuring pieces that are both new and iconic works from other choreographers, but this will be a faculty and student show. And I believe tickets start at 10 for students and then go up from there. Truth or Consequences is a one-time stage reading that's happening at the Station Theater, and it's to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, and it is a creepy, suspenseful new play where the characters discover the secrets of the El Dorado Motel. It's free, and it's at 2 p.m. on Sunday, the 15th of October. Couple more things I wanted to share. Latin Dance Night is something that happens monthly at Urbana Dance Company. So they are going to be doing things in, I guess, paired with the CU Folk and Roots Festival, but they are having their monthly Latin Dance Night on Friday, October 13th. October is a busy month because there's also CU Jazz Fest. So CU Jazz Fest is also an Urbana Arts Grant winner, and I just wanted to highlight some of the things that will be happening in Urbana because this does take place in Champaign as well. Vinyl and Vibes is an event that will be happening for their opening night on the 26th, and it's going to be taking place in the Glow by Lola, which is a new business in Urbana as well. So I think it's part of the PNC parking lot, but it should be a very chill evening. I think it starts at 7:30, and it might be a good way to check out an event while also checking out a new business that's in town. There's also Jazz Friends at the Urbana Free Library on the 29th at 2 p.m. So those are a couple of Urbana events happening for CU Jazz Fest. If your schedule isn't busy enough already, there is some theater that is taking place. The Station Theater is putting on a show called Without Rule of Law, which is a thought-provoking story that gives voice to doomsday prepper adolescent girls who have little confidence in their future world. So it sounds like it's going to be dramatic, but also a bit of fun. Twin City Theater Company is also going to be having a show, Seascape, and this is an absurd sort of drama about middle-aged couple that are stranded on a beach. So there's a couple of fun things in the theater community happening. We also have CU Small Press Fest that's taking place in Urbana. This is definitely a exciting event. It covers a lot of different types of events. There's a soiree that I believe is happening this week, but I would say the big event is the Vendor Expo that's going to be in Lincoln Square Mall. And Art Coop is also having a zine exhibition. So the expo is on the 28th of October, and it's a great way to see local artists, illustrators, authors, people who have self-published or are showcasing zines that they've made, or different types of creative literature. So it might be interesting for people who are into writing and illustration, or maybe even bookmaking. Bat Factory is having their big Halloween invocation. It's October 26th, 6th, and costumes welcome, and that's happening at the Rose Bowl. In case you weren't sure if there were Halloween events happening in October with so much music. And I wanted to also share this event, Dance of the Spirits. This is happening at the very beginning of November, November 2nd, 5 to 10 p.m. at the Channing Murray Foundation. And this space is being created, this event, to provide connection, inclusion, and to honor and celebrate life, death, ancestors, ourselves, and each other. And it's a collaborative event that's being put on. There's going to be play, community, breath work, dance, and space for grieving. So if you're someone who does support the Day of the Dead, it's definitely going to be a special place to visit. And if you're not, it might be a place that you can learn a lot about just connection with oneself and ancestry. But I just wanted to share that. It's on the horizon. That's all I have for the presentation and the staff report. It's just a lot of events happening in October. I think that it's the last time to have good weather outside, perhaps.
Can I mention 2 other events?
Absolutely,
One
yeah,
I
if
can
anyone
talk about
has.
very quickly. The Champaign-Urbana Symphony had their opening season concert at the Cranard Center Saturday night. It was very successful, but I know Mark had a special program 2 special programs last week. One of them was in Champaign, but one was in Urbana at the Cranard Art Museum.
Yeah, Professor Shozo Sato's paintings will remain at Cranard Art Museum until mid-December, but until the 14th of this month, the calligraphy of his students is hanging downstairs in the Tapman classroom, I believe it's called, educational room. And it's a really great exhibit with a really wide variety of artists that come from different backgrounds doing traditional Japanese calligraphy under his instruction. I'm one of them, and it was a fantastic experience to make, and we were really proud to have it hanging there. So just a few more days left of that if you'd like to pop in and see it.
And they had a special program last weekend at the opening reception, and they had live music and improvisation and dance.
Yeah, well, so it was Joy Young did some wonderful piano and theremin music that was accompanied by Satomi Kame doing live calligraphy, and so they were sort of interacting with each other. The music would react to the calligraphy reacted to the music, and it was just a beautiful moment. It was really wonderful. I wish more people would have gotten to see that part.
Did it get videotaped for him?
It was, there are at least a few small videos of each portion, and I hope someone recorded the whole thing, but I haven't heard from anyone that has done so yet. So I'll look into that and see if we can find it. Because I've seen some clips here and there. Okay, I'll see what I can dig up. That'd be
A
great.
bunch of them.
There's been a lot going on.
Well, an individual, I've seen people from the event posting things on their Facebook page, so I'm sure you could probably grab a few here and there. Yeah. Do we have any new business to discuss, other than what you mentioned in your report? Okay, thank you. So does anybody else have anything to offer or share with us? Any special coming up? Oh, I did have a question. We had a city commissioner sitting outside waiting to get into a meeting or something, but he was the gentleman who wrote in about all the mural possibilities around town. Yeah, is there other progress or events in the works or being explored? I know now I walk around and I go, I came across a few recently, and I was wondering if there was anything more on the horizon.
Yeah, part of what 40 North is doing is working alongside the African American Heritage Trail, and so one of the murals will be going in Urbana, so they are actively looking for a spot. It's a lot more complicated than I think we like to dream up. Ooh, that's a wall that looks real good. Look better with a mural on it, but
Especially at the School of Music.
yeah, so they are definitely working on that. And we have the mural that I shared with you all happening at the Boneyard Creek. There are a couple of other things that we're waiting on. So hopefully we can maybe invite council member to come visit us and maybe take a tour of all the new murals with us or something. But yeah.
If there's no other items, you need to have a move to adjourn and vote? Or are we,
I move to adjourn.
second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. We're adjourned.